Hello. Welcome to today's live stream. This is Coach Pam, and I am here to share with you some insights as it relates to overcoming barriers to achieving goals. Now, I had an opportunity as I was looking at my outline and just kind of looking at the title. I'm like, I don't know about overcoming because overcoming kind of feels like, said and done, right? Like you've done it, you've conquered it, and it won't come back again. And when we think about barriers, they will show up again. They kind of get in the way sometimes when we are attempting to do things and our goals and such. And so we have those roadblocks or barriers. And so, tonight I kind of want to repurpose and rephrase that title to be more in alignment with managing barriers to achieving goals. Like, how do we manage the roadblocks that we might come against? And so as a Gen X, or introvert or whatnot, who are in your mid-career phase, you may be feeling unfulfilled. You may be feeling disconnected. And you may feel like something is missing. And so let's talk about it. Let's just kind of get into it. I do want to say that the music credit that you hear when you are waiting to see me come on live is compliments of Wave.video. I do my streaming through Wave.video where they have different music options that you can use for the countdown. So just want to make sure I give, credit there. So let's jump into this. So I do have notes, so you will kind of see me, looking down and such. And so let's just talk about some of the barriers. What are those barriers? And how do they get in the way? And as I mentioned, it's really about managing them. It's really not like overcoming as I thought about it, but it's really how do we manage them? So whether you are dealing with time constraints, lack of clarity or fear, let's just get into what that can look like. And I'm going to tell you just personal stuff. I am dealing with this too. So I'm going to be sprinkling in some of the challenges, that I'm facing as well, and just how I am, overcoming them, or better yet, managing them. So the first barrier we're going to look into is that lack of clarity and direction. What I am finding is this barrier um, is a it kind of gets in the way because we're just not clear on where we're going. Maybe we started out with a plan and somehow we got off track. And so that plan now is not giving us what we need to help us to move forward. So it's hard to reach our goals when we don't know exactly where we're going. And it can cause us to be overwhelmed because we've lost sight of what the end goal was supposed to be. And so that's kind of where I find myself in getting overwhelmed, um, and losing sight of what was the plan, what is the goal, where are you going? And so lack of clarity and direction can definitely be a barrier and a roadblock that stops you from moving forward. I mean, we can set clear goals and you can define what success look like for you. And when you find that you do get off track, you may have to come back and visit that. And that's what I'm finding for myself, is having to come back to the goals and revisit, what does success look like to me? What is it that I need to do to get back in alignment? Feel the pressure, acknowledge the pressure, but get yourself back on track. So when you feel like your goals are really, really big and you don't feel like you have a lot of clear direction, begin to go back and understanding what was the plan, and are there some of the goals, do you need to break them down even further? Because maybe the goal is too big and it has you feeling overwhelmed and it has you feeling like you don't have any clear direction. So that's the first barrier, that lack of clarity and direction. Revisit what your goals are, break them down into smaller bite-sized pieces to make them more accomplishable. And again, if you are just feeling overwhelmed, just take a step back and get clear on where you're going. And so It's kind of like a goal is a plan. Um, a goal without a plan is just a wish. So let me do say that. And that is by Antoine de Saint. And I'm gonna chop up the name, so I'm not even gonna try to say it, but it is a quote that's not mine. All right. So let's look at barrier number two, time management. Definitely a big one for me. I don't know about you, but I get lost in time. I get lost in goals and taking actions and doing a lot of different things. And to be very honest, I get caught up in taking on too much. And then it takes over my time. And then now I'm lost. And I go back to not having those clear directions and that clear focus. And so time management can definitely be an issue and can definitely be a barrier that just really stops you in your tracks. So when you think about time management, um, it can really kind of get you caught up because, especially being a woman, right? We have family, we have work, and we have our own, inspirations and our own commitments that we have. And what happens to our commitments? They typically get put on the back burner because we are giving of ourselves to everyone else, and everyone else is managing our time. And so it's time for us to take our time back. And so when you think about, things that you can do is prioritizing and planning. And the key is prioritizing. Sometimes we talk about the work-life balance, and what I find is that, is it really balanced? Because something is going to get more attention than the other. So you want to think about the priority. What is the priority? What are your values? What's important to you? And how does those things that you are doing that's taking up your time, how are they aligning to the things that are important? So when you are managing your time, think about those priorities and what those mean to you, and then organize yourself around your values and things that are important to you. You can also delegate things. So instead, especially in the workspace, you may have other people that you are developing, especially if you are a manager and you're developing others. Are there some things that you can take off of your plate to pass on to, one of your team members that you're helping to develop? Is there something that you can delegate? Even at home, ask for help. Are there things that, if you have children, are there things that the kids could be doing around the house? So ensure that you are getting the support and the help that you need, and ensuring that you are taking time out for yourself. That self-care is very important. Helps us to take some time to just step back and reflect. And so when we're doing that, we're able to put things in a better perspective, and we're better to organize ourselves. Some other things that you can do in time management is time blocking. I do that as well, blocking out chunks of time throughout the day so that I know what I'm working on and focused on. If you are in a position where you have an assistant or a virtual assistant, utilize them. What are some of their strengths, and what are some of the things that they can do to help you and to eliminate some of the overwhelm so that you can manage your time better? You can do the top three each day. What are the top three things that you need to get done today? I know there's a list of things that need to get done, but think about, what are the top three? What are the top three things that you need to get done today, and focus on doing those things. Now, when you're done with those three things, if you want to pick up some other things, you can, but it's time for us to start being really focused on the things that are a priority and the things that are valuable to us. All right. Let's get down to the last barrier, which fear of failure or change. Yes, I can tell you, like, I've been feeling it, and it's more so the feeling of change because there's so many things changing, and it's not wanting to let go and wanting to hold on to everything, and having that fear that things are going to be different, or having that fear of failure, and like learning to say no. Yeah, that, you know what, that might be a whole nother barrier in itself in learning to say no, and really getting back in organizing yourself, being knowing your priorities. Even when we go back to the first barrier, that lack of clarity and direction. Where are you going? What's your strategy? What are your goals? What did you set out to do? And what got you off track? So having that time of reflection, managing your time, and now we're in that fear of failure. So the fear of failure can be huge. It can be huge, and it can really be that roadblock that stops you from taking the next step. It's easy to stay in our comfort zone because we're comfortable. It's things that we know. And if you find yourself saying, I can do this stuff in my sleep, it might be time for a change. And so, yep, I had to learn that the hard way. So if you're finding yourself saying that, it may be time to start doing some things differently and get some new challenges and some things that are really going to push you and some things that are really going to drive you. You might hesitate to apply for a new job, or maybe taking on a new project, or doing a different routine or doing something different. And those can be things that are could be fearful, because again, you don't know what you don't know. You don't know the unknown. It's that level of uncertainty. But I feel like it's kind of in the change where you're learning more about yourself. And so, some strategies that kind of help you manage this particular barrier is to shift your mindset. I've had to do that. I've had to pause and really think about, you know, how can I think differently about this situation? What's the positive in this? Right? Not thinking about the negative, but what's the advantage of applying for a new job, or what's the advantage of taking on that new project? What could I learn from it? So really start thinking about changing your mindset and weighing your options. What are the options? What's the advantages if I do it? What's the advantages if I don't? Right? So really thinking about that, because that comfort zone, it can hurt you. And so I want you to be empowered. I want you to challenge yourself to take the first leap, take that first step. What is it that you're holding on to? What is it that you've been wanting to do? And fear has played a part in that. Change has played a part in that. The other thing is take the small steps. Do it. Do it. Start with small, manageable changes. If you are afraid of switching careers, I've been there. I have been there. If you are afraid of switching careers, start by, taking a course, or doing some research on it, and start kind of positioning yourself for the change. So yeah, this can really be, really deep, and it could be, failure can really be a crutch, right? And so change is an investment. There's a cost to it. There's going to be a cost of time. There may be a cost of resources, but it is definitely an investment of you to better yourself, especially in this day and age, in being in the middle of your career, being a Gen Xer, and you're introverted, and there's just a lot of things going on. And so fear can definitely be a crutch, but we don't want that to be a crutch for you. So the question is that I have for you is, how much are you willing to invest in yourself? Yeah, it's deep. I'm telling you, it's deep. And so, we've kind of doing a recap here. So we've talked about lack of clarity and direction. We've talked about time management, and we've talked about fear of failure or change as barriers that can often hold us back. And in that, we talked a little bit about some things that you can do differently to really help push you to move forward. So as we talked about, these barriers, I want to encourage you to have power to achieve your goals. And as I'm talking to you, I'm talking to myself. I've had to take a step back. I had to go back to the book that I had, were my goals, and really think about what's the direction, Pam, and what is it that you may need to let go of and trust the process and believe that you are where you are supposed to be. And so I give that and I offer that to all of you as well. And so I want to encourage you as we wrap this up to take a moment. I did a live stream last week. You can go to my YouTube channel, Coaching Conversations with Pam. Um, I did the live video, but guess what? There was no sound. So I did it again. So you'll see a updated video that says update, and there you can find what we talked about last week. That can definitely really help you. And so next week, next month, can you believe it? Is it going to be July already? Oh my gosh. So next month, I'm going to be doing a series on branding, personal branding. So the entire month, every week, I'm going to be talking about branding. And so I'm hoping that you will join me for that. So, with that, that is all I have for you tonight. And so I hope that you found something of interest to help you as you are navigating these barriers. They don't have to be roadblocks. They can be managed. They can be dealt with. I would say you have the power to control it. And so with that, keep elevating your potential and exceeding your limits. And I will talk with you next week. Take care.